What if somebody tried to combine a big multiverse of characters into one massive fighting game? Something that's going to have Batman versus Superman versus Bugs Bunny, or something like the Scooby-Doo crew trying to fight Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, or the Harry Potter kids, or Jake and Finn from Cartoon Network's Adventure Time. Well, surprisingly, MultiVersus is that. It is just the entire kitchen sink. It's a million different franchises just shoved into a giant pile and told to kill each other. But what shocks me the most, it actually works surprisingly well. But I want to talk about the goods, the bads, and the uglies, because this is a project that I've been playing a lot of, and I'm mostly impressed by. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Now, real quickly, before we start to dissect everything, I do want to quickly warn you guys, I'm currently house-sitting my friend's cat, and this little muffin, she loves to just scream and meow randomly. So if you hear a bunch of kitten meows at some point, she's probably just doing cat karaoke. Okay, but now let's get down to business. First and foremost, MultiVersus is definitely just a Super Smash Bros. Ripoff, but I don't mean that as an insult. That's clearly what the intention is supposed to be. It's characters battling on tiny stages to try and be the last man standing. But what does this really mean? It's sort of a very, very fluid and fun fighting game that's more about standing against all odds. Now, if you've played Smash Bros., it's kind of the opposite in some ways to typical fighting games. In most brawlers, you have a health bar, and when it's reduced down to 0, you're suddenly dead. Whereas in Smash Brothers, you have a damage meter that goes up. The more you incur, the more you're hit, the more blows you soak up, the further you fly. If you fall off the stage, you are doomed. Now, in this game, this goes on that system, but what really kind of stunned me when I started to play it is that these characters have a tremendous amount of variety to them. Obviously, Superman has heat lasers, but also somebody like Wonder Woman can use her shield and her rope to grab people or protect her friends. Someone like Bugs Bunny, which I personally would not picture as a fighting type character, instead uses the things he's had from his cartoons, his big box of Acme gadgets to have, well, sort of like infinite weapons, so he can throw out all sorts of pies and giant rockets and stuff like that to try and push people off of stages. But what really kind of struck me is that each character not only plays completely different, but they're very well balanced. Even in this alpha version of the game, there is going to be an open beta relatively soon. Already, even in this version of the game, everybody feels like they're perfectly evenly matched. Now, some people are certainly stronger. Things like Jake from Adventure Time, he is a shape-shifting dog, and let me tell you, that guy, if you turn into a pony, you can charge people down. Everybody has a lot of very interesting attacks. So the way you can think about it is that your triangle button, or whatever your top button is your special attack. This is stuff that's typically your weapons, your power-ups. If you're playing somebody like Shaggy, who for some reason can go Super Saiyan, that's how he goes full-blown and unleashes his power. Whereas your square button, that's called your typical or standard attack. That's sort of like your more melee stuff. If you're a character that has a baseball bat, like if you're playing as Harley Quinn, your square button is how you use her hammer. This is what some people call a situational brawler, which is that depending on where people are standing and the direction you press, you can do back attacks, forward attacks, slams, power strikes, and stuff like that to try and outmaneuver people. But for the most part, this is just a 2-button basher. It's a game that has that special attack, the normal attack, there's a dash button, and then of course there's jumping. But that's kind of what I like about it, is that it does have that very simplistic party game feel that Super Smash Bros. Does have. Now, I want to talk a bit more about just the balancing in general, because even in this alpha version of it, we have a pretty big catalog of people to test, and I decided to play everybody. Some of the characters certainly feel a bit more based on particular gimmicks, like the Tasmanian Devil has a thing where he can salt and spice people to increase their flavor. His special attacks is things like trying to grab people between 2 big pieces of bread to try and consume them. But a lot of these attacks, they feel like everybody's speed and intensity and hit distance are very, very different. I like the fact that even though Wonder Woman is very, very tanky, she's somebody that can take a lot of hits. She's somebody that can defend and cast shields around her and her party. I kind of enjoy the fact that she has a shorter attack range. So while she is able to dictate how much damage is dealt, she's not an unstoppable killing machine in the process. It feels like everybody has an interesting system of fitting together, but also being able to play on their own. But speaking of teamwork, I want to talk about the perk system system. This is the one aspect I'm perhaps the most nervous about. So as you level up each of the characters, you slowly unlock these additional benefits, which can be things like extra aerial damage, an ability to dash faster. Your cooldowns for special abilities are shorter. But so far, these are very, very limited. There's only a couple for them. You can equip 4 of them at a time. There's like 4 to unlock. So right now, there's not a lot of customization and freedom. But I mean, honestly, that makes sense. This is a tech test. I'm not expecting the full cabal of carnage to come out right at the start. But my thought is just the fact that I'm wondering how these are going to come out in the end, because if we're able to stack aerial damage and you get characters that are good jugglers, is it going to be too easy to decimate people in a ranked format? I'm just kind of curious to see how they plan on balancing this, because there is actually a ranking system in this. I'm kind of curious because it almost feels like they want this to be a more structured, almost arena style brawler. It feels like they want it to be taken seriously. They want this to be an Evo project, and no hate against them, but right now this does sort of feel like the casual fun party game that Super Smash Bros. Is. Yes, there is hardcore Super Smash Bros. Players, but 99% of the people that play Smash, it's because we're drunk at a party and I want to fist Princess Peach for 45 minutes. That's it. But this game, it does feel like it's aiming to be a bit more serious, a bit more grindy, a bit more focused on training and practicing. Now, one of the things they put in this that I think is very helpful is they did initiate a big in-depth tutorial. When you first turn this game on, it's completely optional, but there is a big tutorial that teaches you about double jumps, upward attacks, being able to glide, getting back onto stuff, unleashing your special attacks. It teaches you a lot about the game, and there's even advanced tutorials to train you in things like ledge guarding, down smashing, and this also brings me to the weirdness of this, which is that everybody that exists in this game so far is a licensed property. There's some leaks that at some point LeBron James is going to be in this game, Iron Giant is in this game, stuff like that. But as it currently stands, there's one character that was created simply for this. His name is Raindog. Raindog is not from anything else, at least as far as I know. I've never seen him before, but Raindog has a grapple hook for friends. He is able to grab people and pull them back onto the map. His special ability is creating what is essentially a soul link, so if your buddy falls off the stage, you can just yank him back. So you can save them, they can do a down smash to really punish somebody, or they can pull somebody out if one of your people is getting double teamed real bad in a match, you can yank them aside. This is interesting, but I'm really kind of curious to see how the meta is going to form. A lot of times with a game early on, you don't know who's going to end up being the best, the worst, who's going to be able to punish, who's going to be able to rise to the top, who's going to be those upper echelon top tier characters. As it currently stands, I'm curious how this game is going to roll out. It is completely free to play whenever this comes out in a couple months or a couple years or whatever the heck, but it's just going to have a battle pass. It seems like the characters are all going to be unlockable through gameplay, or maybe you can just, pay money to get enough coins to get the stuff you want. There is going to be obviously a ton of costumes, a ton of emotes. In a way, this does feel a little bit like, if I had to be a bit silly, it feels a bit like Smash Brothers Fortnite. I enjoy that, but I'm kind of curious to see how this is affected in the long run. I really don't like the art style very much. I still think that Smash Brothers and other fighting games managed to find that mix of realism and absurdity at once, whereas this, going pure cartoon character, it does look a bit goofy. There's also only a couple stages in this early version of the game, and they all kind of suck. They're just Final Destination. It's just a big old floating tiny thing in the middle of nowhere. I want to see a bit more variety. I want to see a bit more of crazy universes besides just the Batcave and training centers and random Bugs Bunny stages. Show me the craziness of what this game can be. Show me the multiverse of MultiVersus. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts, because honestly, I did find it very interesting. What do you think about the game? Have you played the alpha? Are you registered for the beta? Are you excited for it? Or does this seem like a dumb clickbait cash grab? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and please keep dreaming. Now, where's that cat? I thought I heard her if you heard, she meowed like 4 times. I'm going to try and edit around those meows as best I can. Subscribe! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.